Hello once again and welcome back to Inspire at Random. So in this channel, as a matter of fact, I just wanted to share with you that I'm just producing content because I don't give a damn whether people are going to like it or not, whether they're going to watch it or not. Because the whole point of this channel, Inspire at Random, is to post bits of pieces of inspiration at random when I experience them. And today's content is going to be, once again, very random. This is actually related to how to make a good presentation. And the context for this video is because my daughter is going to have a school presentation for her science subject. And therefore, when she asked me for some advice on how to make this presentation, I decided to have her critically review a few different aspects. I had her think about where is the location, who is going to be there, who are the decision makers, how do I want the people to feel after, or how do I want the people to feel, do, react, or what exactly is the objective behind this presentation. Because although there's a subject of the presentation, but how we're going to present it, that would really depend on the objectives that we have. For instance, my kids, they study in a school that is a mixture of like Thai and English. There could be teachers sitting in that are non-native English speakers and could be quite bad at English. I actually asked her, is it important that they understand? If it's important that they understand, then we have to simplify the presentation, and the pace of speech cannot be too fast. Now, who are the key decision makers? What is the objective behind this presentation? Let's say if it's to score academic points, although there could be students and parents in the audience, but their opinions do not matter so much because they are not the ones giving the grades. So who are the ones giving the grades? I asked her, list out the people that would be attending, so school director, head of science, etc. And I then asked, what are their personalities? What is their age like? This actually brings us into audience research. Audience research is very important because if you do not know your audience, then how can you keep them going? For example, just to draw another comparison, if we had to present to a group of children, a group of adults, a group of monkeys, the way of presenting could be very different. Let's say monkeys, I could be just throwing bananas and peanuts all day, and I don't even need to present, I'm just going to keep throwing peanuts, right? Likewise, if the bunch of people listening are not that good at English, then perhaps I want to keep it very simple, keep it very entertaining. And at the same time, let's say this could be in general, not about my daughter's presentation, but let's say presentations in general. If I want people to remember my name, my brand, if it's going to be my brand, I'm going to say my brand name a lot. How XYZ brand does this, how XYZ brand feels about this, how XYZ brand can help you in this area. So that's brand association, right? Or let's say like name. In this case, Inspire at Random. How Inspire at Random is the best go-to channel when you do not have anything in mind to learn, but you know that when you go to this channel, you will hear something that makes sense and helps you at some level. That's exactly the point when it comes to research. Now, how do we then try to hit most people? Let's say if there are different decision makers. This also applies to business presentations. I mean, I mentioned in previous videos, I'm also like a deal maker and I arrange deals at different levels. And sometimes there could be political people involved. There could be some lawmakers involved. There could be senior businessmen. There could be young tycoons. There could be this person from overseas that doesn't speak too much English. There could be a bunch of old mom and pops, grannies, grandmas, no, I already said that, grannies and grandpas who are sitting in because they are like some important decision maker. Well, in those cases, I need to have my presentation to be comprehensible by all, but ultimately, the key decision makers have to get it. They have to be sold on the idea. If it's for them, it's for a contract to happen, they have to be sold on the idea as to why this is a good partnership for all of these people concerned. How it's going to be of benefit to all. And I would have probably to make analogies in all the ways possible to help them to understand it. And at the same time, I may have to know if I'm going to a foreign country, it might be beneficial for me to know some of the slangs as well, and any terminologies or jargon words. Jargon words are almost very, very important. So let's say if you're giving a business presentation, I mean, some of you listening in could be a future lobbyist, or maybe you're one already, but jargon words, very, very important. Next up, if you're presenting, you have to finish your presentation, because what is the use? I mean, you may have presented well, you may have engaged everyone, but if you fail to complete the whole itinerary, essentially you fail your objective, because people don't get to see the full presentation. This is something that a lot of people made a mistake, where they would present really, really well, but they realize that they cannot finish all their slides or all their points or show all the things or all the ideas that they wanted to present. There are even business deals where people go there, they make this awesome presentation, create this awesome rapport, but don't leave enough time for the signing of the contracts. What good is that? Pacing is extremely important. Know how much time that you have. If you have 15 minutes or half an hour, the way you're going to present is going to be very different. If the presentation is only 10 minutes, oh my god, you have to go like point by point. There's almost no time for elaborations. It's going to be like point, supporting evidence, point, supporting evidence, point, supporting evidence, and then let's say if you have very few points but a lot of time, then it could be like point followed by explanation, point, explanation, example, and so now I want to give you an idea of how you can stay in time for your presentations. It is, if you have a lot of points to cover, first of all, rehearse, because when you rehearse, then you know whether your presentation can fit into the time or not. But let's say if you have an idea, then you find that if you exceed it by a lot, then maybe every single point, instead of 100% complexity, no one ever presents 100% complexity of every point. They'll always scale it back until like 20% or like 30% of however deep you can go in. You can almost say that we're going to just be touching on every single area. The important thing as well is that if we have a presentation, leave some time for Q&A. This affects at many different levels, because if it's going to be a public presentation, or let's say an online webinar, or perhaps it's a sales presentation, you want to leave time for people to ask questions. When people ask questions, it shows you a few things. Number one, have they been paying attention? Number two, out of all the things that they listen to, what are the topics that truly interest them? If you're making this same presentation at multiple places, let's say if it could be a product that you are selling for your company, and you present this in different states, common questions keep coming up about certain aspects and not others. This means that in your future presentations, you know which ones you can further scale back on the depth that you cover, and for other ones, you may want to actually re-script in a few of the most commonly asked questions. And at the same time, when people ask questions, it also actually helps you to gauge their interest and gives you another chance to actually put more emphasis and give you a chance to actually show why your brand, your company, or you would offer them a perfect solution in this area. It's another chance to score points. I just discussed about like how to audience research considerations. I've talked about like some content planning and the time scheduling, the importance of a Q&A, and how you're going to be presenting. Some final tips when you're presenting. If you're doing this together with a team, one of the questions that I always had when I was a teenager when fairly early in my life, I always used to wonder, what kind of actions shall we do when we are waiting to speak, when we're not required? Let's say if it's a team presentation and we've just finished our part, what we should be doing as a team player is there are going to be the times that presentation needs to be adjusted along the fly. And as well, especially when you're competing. So when you're competing with other teams to get a contract, or let's say you're competing with other classes to get best presentation, this is time to do your intelligence. This is also the reason why, in presentations can sometimes be like a relay race, where the anchor is super important. Along the way, if you have done your bit, you can actually help gather some intelligence, like what the other teams are doing. If you have some intelligence, and actually pass this information on to the next speaker. Hey, earlier I heard about this. When you're presenting, they may want to also mention this. And then when you're actually in front of the crowds, like if you're going to be re-strategizing, discussing, make sure you stay back so that it's away from view, it does not distract. If there is a panel or something, it might be a good idea to be off stage and not cause distraction. But if you have to be on stage, either do not cause distraction or help the audience to focus where the attention should be at. Let's say if there is a projection screen right there, all of you looking right there at a projection screen would help people to focus their attention over there. Let's say if your teammate is speaking and they're speaking a really important point, all of you just actually looking in that direction, people would, through herd instinct, they will actually look into that direction as well. So this does help. Finally, this is another very random video. I hope this helps you in putting together a better presentation, and this is moving because my cat is pushing it from behind. Once again, subscribe if you found this useful. Hit the bell notifications button to be notified of my future video releases on this space.